Your superpower as a creator is your focus. Focus could mean a ton of different things. It could be time working and thinking about one particular thing or task. It could be the things that you prioritize. It could be knowing the things to not do. Now, producing higher quality content requires you to focus, and focusing on research increases the quality of your content. Focusing on the right things to get will get you the results that you want, and focusing on connecting with your audience and adding value will get you subscribers and get you more attention. So, when you focus properly, you produce high quality content that your audience loves in a consistent and sustainable way. And when you don't, it all falls apart. So, in this video, we're talking about 16 things that steal your focus. And we'll talk about 5 of the big buckets of things from that list and 5 habits that you can use to address that. Hey everyone, it's Shawn Buttner, and the good news is that you control your focus. As a certified high performance coach, I help clients stay focused. For example, a client named Emily wanted a career change where she had more time and had more flexibility and control over her effort and impact. Her biggest issue was too many ideas on how to achieve it. She could start different businesses. She had a certificate that she had delayed for 4 years to take the test that would help her access a higher tier of jobs. So after 3 months of working together, we developed a plan, and she ended up getting her credential, starting a new business based on an issue she was very passionate about, and grew that into an organization she later sold to a university system for continuing education for therapists and teachers. This is why focus is important, because she spent 4 years trying all different things, and by focusing on a couple of key things, it led to a huge transformation in how she could spend her time, her financial impact, and the impact she had out in the world. So there are always exceptions to every rule, though, too. So as we talk about focus today, there could be things that don't apply to everyone. For example, multitasking is generally bad, but can be great for creativity if you multitask in related things. So think of like you're a PhD student in physics. You're currently, have 10 different physics books around your house that you're going through and reading, maybe a dozen articles in the same state. Between reading, thinking, and doing the work, you're going to seminars or classwork related to your research. And this helps you connect ideas and generate unique ideas, access to a wide range of things that are related, right? So a broader view of focus, that you're focusing on your PhD, which encompasses all these different bits of information, can actually help you be creative, right? Whereas if you are trying to, run a meeting, you're trying to code, a project, you're trying to multitasking, can hurt you, okay? Let's get to the 16 ways your focus can be stolen. These are grouped into 5 big buckets: other people's agendas, lack of clarity, time management, priority management, and lack of structure. First is how you manage your email, right? And so if you are constantly glued to your email 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's hard to manage your own tasks. If you're always in responsive mode because of emails, I'm not sure if you've ever had this experience. The very first corporate gig I had out of college was at Walmart Information Systems Division. Between emails, walk-ups, phone leash, or social media, these are 4 main buckets of other people's agendas interfering with what you got to do in the day. So at Walmart, I would go to work. I'd have the project I'm supposed to work on. I'd have 4 hours to sit and code. Every 15 minutes, I'd get a phone call or an email, high priority email I needed to respond. And I would accomplish so much, but the project work never got done, or got done after hours when no one was supposed to be talking to me, but that would still happen, right? With a pager or, cell phone where people could call and be like, hey, there's an issue with the system. And so, you know, having to deal with not controlling how you focus, right? Or dealing with other people's agendas can really sap your focus. So again, it's emails, people walking up to your desk, especially if you're introverted. This could be very detrimental. Having your whole life revolve around being, an arm's reach away from a phone so that you can go to work with what other issues going on. And then like social media is either consuming content. We all do it. Like you're probably doing here on a short or a podcast or on YouTube. When it's not structured, it's giving you ideas, but not getting you to take action, right? Probably not. I hope at the end of this episode you will. So that's the first 4 things that steal your focus. It's emails, it's walk-ups, it's the phone leash, and social media. Again, the 5th thing is that you're just not clear on your next steps. Like we can spend so much energy and time trying to think about like, what am I supposed to do next in my business for this piece of content? What am I doing next for my relationships, for my health? If you are not clear on what those next steps are, you spend a lot of time consuming social media, checking your emails, you get lost in distraction, instead of being like, oh, next thing I have to do is record a podcast episode, and that's why I'm here. Or the next thing after the podcast episode is go for a walk and get some sun because I've been indoors all day. In my coaching work, it's helping people get clear on what they want, who they are, and who they want to be. So that's another way to think of being clear in your next steps, or action of integrity, as we say in high performance business. You have to be clear on those next steps. Another thing related to that is if you have too many open loops. And this kind of relates to the issue I was talking about before, where, you might be having project work, but then you're also working on 5 different support issues where the world's on fire and people are going to die if you don't fix those right away. And then you have a conversation with your manager. You're also trying to make plans to go to a concert with your friends, and you don't know who's going to actually show up. You don't know rides and all that kind of stuff. And so these open loops, if you're leaving them open and not trying to close them as soon as possible and make a decision, can lead to stress, wasted energy, or distraction, and get overwhelmed and self-soothe with video games, with Netflix, with food, with, doing anything except the things that you're supposed to do. Don't have too many open loops. The 7th thing that steals your focus is unclear priorities. So much of my work as a coach is, figuring out everything that somebody's going after in their life, right, in a holistic way, and then figuring out what's the most important, right? And if, you can have cognitive dissonance if you say, the thing that's most important is that I grow my business, but the thing you're spending all your time on is your health. Like training for a marathon, that's 3 hours of running every day. Take a rest. I eat, I recover, and then I do another 3-hour strength training workout. The rest recover. Then I do 3 hours of yoga to undo all the stress. And the day's done. Your priority is your health. It's not growth. That can cause a lot of stress of like, oh, I'm not getting where I need to go, but you're not putting in the time and effort to do things that move your life forward. And so that's why that is, having clear priorities. This is the number 1 project. This is the second project. This is the 3rd project. In each project, here's the first thing I have to do up to the 5th thing. That could be a helpful exercise. But getting clear priorities and next steps will help you. The 8th thing that robs you of your focus is busy work. Because it is so hard to stay motivated and happy and confident and in flow working on things that don't matter. And I'm not sure if you've ever worked a job where you had to be in the office for a certain time, and if there was nothing to do, you just sat at your desk in case something came in. It's the most frustrating thing when you work hard put in extra hours, you stay late, and then when things are lighter, you're not giving that time back. You have to just sit and stare at the wall until it's 5 or 6. It's doing tasks that don't help a client, don't help you learn, aren't really, doesn't help anyone. It's just something for you to do to take time up. It's going to eventually, you will find that you're restless, or it'll be harder to focus on the things that matter because you start to associate things that don't matter to the things that matter. It's a bad time, and I can speak to that from personal experience. So focus on your life's work, or work that helps you learn or propels your goals or adds value to others. Okay. The ninth thing that steals your focus is not knowing the difference between manager time and project time. Manager time is usually in 1 hour blocks because it's a meeting, it's a lot of communicating, it's getting people on the same page, or making sure that the team has a clear vision for what's going forward. So if you think of communication meetings, informational meetings, or conversations to get support for people, that's management time. And project time doesn't occur in 1 hour blocks. It usually works in 4 hour blocks. Those 4 hour blocks are doing the code, getting documents together, designing or outlining. These take more focus for longer periods of time generally to complete. And it's oftentimes work that you do individually, right? So it's you don't need a team to code your feature. The problem comes when you're expected to do a 1 hour meeting in between a 4 hour work block. The study says it takes 20 minutes to get focused back onto a task. If you have a 4 hour work block to code, and right in the middle of it, you have an hour meeting, so you're 3 hours coding, but you're also taking off 20 minutes for you to remember where you were in that particular part of the code. Remember to make sure you're not making mistakes. So you're at 3 hours or 2 hours and 40 minutes of work in a 4 hour block instead of just sitting there focused for the entire time. Now imagine if every 15 minutes you have someone giving you a phone call or walking up to ask you for something, and the hit to your effectiveness in that task is trashed. Knowing and managing time during the week and project time during the week, and not mismatching them, and understanding that if somebody on your team has project time planned and you're trying to get a meeting with them, and how it can really impact their focus also will help you be cooler in the office. People will like you, and you're like, oh, you're in focus time. That's, set up a time on Friday when we all have meetings, because that's company culture or whatnot. I think you'll find people like you more. You're actually more impactful in those meetings, and then everyone's getting their stuff done and everyone's happy. Okay. 10th thing is, and we highlighted this earlier in the episode, but multitasking between unsimilar tasks. So, again, this could be if you're trying to be creative, again, might be studying a particular topic. Earlier we said physics, but it could be how to grow your podcast, right? And so you might have, and I'm speaking of this because this is something I'm working through myself behind the scenes here, but I have like a tab on my browser, right? Not a tab. I have so many tabs of all these different people talking about how to grow your podcast. I'm happy, some of them I've gone through, some of them and I need to take notes on, some I've taken notes on, some I'm halfway through. It's helping me connect the dots between similar content, meaning, so it's probably something that I definitely need to be doing for myself and my business and the podcast, identifying outliers, or making connections, like maybe something that wasn't covered that is important because everyone's talking about it, but they don't call it out. Multitasking in a good way. It would be bad to be trying to learn how to play, if I had all my tabs were something completely different. So like how to use the slow cooker recipe, how to play a song on guitar, how to grow a podcast, how to start a podcast, how to build an online community, and so forth. I'm getting a little anxious talking about all the different things that are unsimilar. So there's a really good video about multitasking in the creative way that it's escaping my head right now. Maybe I'll find it and put it in the show notes. Multitasking in general for the mismatch manager and project time, you know, if it's so dissimilar, it's shifting your focus away where you need kind of 20 minutes to figure out where you were again. It's not great. 11th, I really like this point. Make sure you write this down. If you don't know, the pain of distraction is less than doing the actual work, you will always choose distraction. This is like opportunity cost. If you binge Netflix during your workday versus making podcast episodes over time, that's robbing you of moments to impact people, ad dollars, sponsorship deals, and all that stuff. You choose Netflix because in the moment it's easier, and you don't understand the pain of what you're going to miss in the future. All right, so number 11, I'm having a lack of routines. Now, as someone personally who hates being locked into a structure, but knows that routines help me stay productive, help me, have a certain quality in the content that I make, and helps me do the things that I need to do to grow my business. You need to find routines. When it comes to routines, you need a way of measuring change, right? Having consistent habits or consistent themes that you're doing each week. For me, like Tuesdays generally research for a podcast episode. Wednesday is usually record it and then do all the associated editing and stuff. Thursday is releasing it, and then Friday is meetings, coaching, social outreach meetings. I do that kind of stuff. So that's my weekly routine. So you can think of routines as your daily routine. You get up, take care of yourself, get ready for work. You have weekly or monthly routines where at the end of the month, I look at all my notes and I'm like, what did I learn this month? What is helping? What isn't? What do I need to get back to? What took me off focus? These routines help keep me a high performer and help me live the things that I teach my clients. So what are your routines? Think about where you need routines to help you do the work, especially if it's things that you tend to resist, right? So number 12 is lack of routines. Number 13 is a lack of scheduled tasks. Write this down. If it's not in the calendar, it's not getting done. I hate that this is a rule that works for me, but it does. If you spend any time in a corporate organization, you live and die by your calendar. Doing those big chunks of project time and the times where you're doing that like management 1 hour type chunks of time is super, super important. But I don't know how many times I've wondered why did I not get everything accomplished. Oh yeah, I only had 2 of the 10 things planned on my calendar that week. So of course I got the 2 things that I had planned on the calendar done, and then everything fell aside. So I still struggle with, but I know it works. I'll share that with you. All right, so that was 13, just lack of scheduled tasks. 14, a bad environment. If your environment is messy or is loud or is not conductive to the work that you're doing, it can steal your distraction. And I've had the unfortunate experience of working in huge, like, open corporate environments, doing software, and it's the worst, right? You can do things to mitigate it, like I'd have like those giant like noise canceling headphones, but inevitably there's going to be the guy that screams into a conference call that they can hear it 3 blocks down. That can rob your ability to focus, because if you're not in that flow state, you can hear stuff and be like, why are you talking? What are you talking about there? It's human nature. So what can you do to get yourself into a quiet environment where you don't have distractions? Or It's maybe turning off all of your notifications during project time so you don't get any text notifications or phone calls or any of that stuff. So this is what we mean by setting up the environment. Having a good environment means you're not getting interrupted or distracted. The 15th thing that robs your focus is perfectionism, right? And so I threw this one on the list because I think, perfectionism could be so focused on trying to get a result, but it's also like you end up over researching or overthinking things and you don't actually put stuff in action, right? Because you're trying to get it perfect right in the first place. So what I'm trying to say here is that you need a way to make decisions or make things good enough so you can move forward. I've had fellow coaches and people that I love that are very dear to me that get stuck in these like learning loops. They're like, I'm gonna launch my coaching program as soon as I go through these 15 courses, and they get through the 15 courses, and like, I just found out about these other 8 ones, and now I'm gonna go through these 8 before I launch my thing. And before you know it, you've known them for 5 years. They've never, put a web page up and reached out to people to start talking to them about their coaching. And it's this fear of failure, fear of being judged, or not being enough. And it's a lot of what I help with as a coach again myself, but it's also distraction, right? You fall into the distraction of more courses or books or getting ready in air quotes. So perfectionism will rob your focus and your success going forward. And then we're going to end on the 16th one, which is uncontrolled energy. Your energy is up to the world, right? If your spouse is grumpy, then you're grumpy and you can't work. Or if you're feeling super exhausted because you didn't have a great night's sleep, and so you can't do the quality and level that you want, or you end up choosing bad food, which then impacts your energy. You have agency over how you feel 90% of the time. Unless you're like hit by a bus and you're in the hospital with a full body cast, like that's a whole different type of thing where your body is healing from a huge trauma or huge sickness or big accident. Day to day, you can do breathing exercises, meditation, calm yourself if you're anxious, or you energize yourself. In my coaching practice, before every coaching call or before I reach out to people, I'm doing breathing exercises, I'm doing jumping jacks, and moving around so that I sound more dynamic. And it's something that I know I need to do more for the podcast. I got in a quick meditation before speaking to y'all today, but could have done more because I didn't sleep well. I deal with insomnia. Probably could have done more breathing exercises, more movement before. I feel like as I've been talking today, I've been getting more energized and feeling less sluggish. These are the 16 things that can rob your focus. Responding to emails, walk-ups, your phone, social media. Number 5, unclear next steps. Number 6, too many open loops. Number 7, unclear priorities. Number 8, busy work that doesn't matter. Steals your focus. Number 9 is not understanding and planning for manager time versus project time. 10 is multitasking between similar tasks. 11 is not knowing that the pain of distraction is greater than doing the work. 12 is lack of routines. 13 is lack of scheduled tasks. 14 is a bad environment. 15, perfectionism. And 16 is not controlling your energy. These 16 things fall into 5 buckets. Other people's agendas, being reactive, lack of clarity, not managing time effectively, not managing priorities effectively, and a lack of structure or routine. In this week's newsletter, you'll have 5 questions to help you walk through 5 buckets. I'll leave those out now because a lot of you are in your cars driving or on a walk, or you don't have notes around. So make sure you go in the show notes, sign up for the Meaningful Revolution weekly newsletter, which is brand new, coming at you. You'll get 5 questions to help you journal about these topics, to find out how you can strengthen your focus or prevent other people from robbing you of it. But here are 5 habits that can help you manage each of these different areas, right? So the first is other people's agendas. Things you react to should be pushed later into your day. Write that down somewhere or make a mental note. The first hour of your workday is not in reaction, but proactive creation, right? So the first hour of your workday, prevent people from walking up to your desk. So maybe you're working from a coffee shop or you're working at home before the office. Turn your do not disturb on so you do not get notifications on your phone from social media, from phone calls, from emails, all that kind of stuff. You don't get on social media until after lunch, right? First part of your day. The first hour of work, no other people's agenda stuff. First hour, right? That's the first habit you can implement today, and you'll see a drastic change in your productivity, how you feel about your day, the things you get done. Block out the first hour of your workday to not react to what's happening out in the world. Second thing, for time management, right? We talked about block time. So finding in your week the 4-hour blocks you're going to work on projects, and then the 1-hour meetings you're going to do either to fulfill client obligations, to communicate, get the team on board, all that kind of stuff, right? This simple technique of just like Mondays and Fridays are my, manager time, or our outward focus time where I'm working with people. Project time during the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, will change how you approach each of those, and you'll see how much more you can get done. Again, like this is a super productive habit that will be great. Okay. Third habit is to every day identify the number one priority, right? And so that first hour of your day that you've protected where you're not reacting to other people's agendas, focus on the one thing that'll move your agenda forward, your goals, your project, your life. If you focus on that each day, I promise you, if you accomplish that, you'll feel a little boosted dopamine, you'll get a little bit of momentum, and you continue that through the day. Conversely, if you start the day in distraction, you'll spend the whole day not doing what you need to do. No other people agenda, reaction time, block your time, focus on the number one priority. Create a prioritized list of your projects with the top 5 needle moving tasks for each project, right? And what this will help you figure out, right, is if you know that you need to get your marketing plan done in 2 weeks and content you need to be done in 1 week, that you're spending the time right now, the most important thing, working on the thing that's due next week and not in 2 weeks. And it sounds so simple. And as creators and as business owners and as professionals, you're just dealing with things thrown at you. You don't realize how the priorities change until it's too late, until you're spending long hours each night trying to figure out how to get it all done. This project list can help you plan your number one priority for each day, but 2, prevent any upsets later in the week where you're like, why was I working on this thing that's due in 2 months when this next thing is due in 2 days? So, then 5th habit to help keep you focused is to add structured time to meditate and do breathing exercises, right? To slow down and up your energy without caffeine, right? So slow it down and up your energy without using caffeine. I think I fumbled that, right? But, so you want time to manage your energy that way if you need it. So you want time for bio breaks if you're doing a lot of meetings. You want to be able to organize your environment to help you not feel anxious if your desk is super cluttered, but to, plan out your week, to set intentions, to feel good about the place you're working on, change where you're working if it's too tough. Hope you enjoyed the 16 things that steal your focus. These 5 habits to help you manage your focus can change your life. I've seen it in all of my clients and the people that I work with and share these ideas with. I know they'll work for you. At the very least, try the non-reaction time the first hour of your workday. It will change how you feel about your day. I speak from experience and from the numerous people I've helped as a coach. Check that out. If you want the 5 questions to help you think about your focus, sign up for the newsletter below and you'll get an email with the questions and the habits. Quick update. I've been working on the newsletter to make it more interesting. I've been trying to figure out how to make these episodes a little bit more compelling. So I hope you liked this episode. And if you do me a favor and share it with 3 of your friends or anyone you think might enjoy this, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I'll have that in the show notes too. The Meaningful Revolution on Apple, and leave a review. We'd love to hear from you. It helps the show out. See you in the next episode of the Meaningful Revolution podcast.